Welcome back to the Chef Triathlete Podcast, where we talk about building mental, physical, and long-term health through real conversations, real goals, and real life. If this is your first time here, I'm Anthony, and this podcast is about helping you navigate performance, wellness, longevity, and the seasons of life we all move through. In today's episode, we're going to talk about New Year, goal settings, what it really takes to commit to big goals, and how it applies whether you're chasing an endurance event, a health transformation, or simply trying to feel better day to day. But before we jump into today's topic, I want to quickly look back on episode 2. In that episode, we took a lot of time. We were talking about recovery, sleep, hydration, fueling, mobility, stress management, and the importance of this as well as intentional rest. The reason why I want to review this is because the topic we're getting into today, talking about setting goals and moving forward on those goals, can't happen unless you have some type of foundation set. It's really important to have a sleep schedule, have your fueling, your mobility, your hydration, and your stress management kind of under control, or a plan to kind of have that all aligned so you can move forward on these types of goals that we're going to talk about today. Every year around this time of year, everyone has a huge surge of motivation. You hear the term new year, new you, and people want to start to change, and that's a good thing. But what happens is that people tend to jump into an extreme goal, set really big expectations, and it's not feasible or sustainable. A cliche is, the gyms out there. You see a huge increase in gym memberships in the month of January, and you see it all the time, which I'm not talking negative about this at all because it can be positive. The challenge part is that people set a goal to #become healthy, start exercising, working out, and they go to the gym and they go in with no plan. They go in really hard, and eventually they either get injured or burnt out. And by the end of January or maybe mid-February, they're no longer working towards those goals or going to the gym. This is why when you set goals, you have to have some type of attainable plan, which we talk about all the time, is setting small goals to reach bigger goals. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to set goals, how to have them sustainable, have goals that fit your lifestyle, your stress levels, and your responsibilities to help you improve on long-term health. One of the goals I want to talk about today is actually I have set a huge goal for myself this year, and I'm so excited to share it with you all today. I have been selected to enter in the Leadville 100 trail race. If you haven't heard about this race, it is one of the most iconic trail race in the country. It's a very coveted event. It's also known as the race across the sky or the race along the sky. It's based in Colorado. It's a grueling 100-mile trail run that starts at 10,000 feet of elevation and works its way up to 12,000 feet of elevation. That's in August. So how am I going to attain this large goal? You have to break it down into smaller goals, right? So for me, for instance, when it comes to training, different sections of training to get up to race day, right? So you're going to have a building phase. And then after you build the base, then you start to increase the intensities as well as the volume leading up to the race. Other planning that's involved when it comes to a race like this, you have to have a team. So you have to quickly organize people that you can trust to be there or willing to make the commitment to be there on race day, whether that's an aid station or running with me and pacing with me later miles within the race. These are people that I know I can trust, I know I feel comfortable around, and also understand the type of endurance that I'll be going through during this type of a race. So this is what I mean about planning to reach a big expectation. You can set big expectations, but you have to plan accordingly. You have to set those small, attainable, and sustainable goals to reach the big goal. This is a huge goal, and I know I'm going to get there because we're going to have the mindset of just making benchmarks through each of those small goals to reach the end goal. The real work is the consistency, the patience, focusing on recovery, and managing the stress over time. Anytime you set a big goal, whether it's in endurance in life, it can be stressful at times when you're trying to make change. But if you're consistent with it and you have a set plan, you will reach that goal. And when the endurance goal is over or you've reached your weight loss goals, it's not about just stopping there. Then it's about continuing to change your lifestyle so you can maintain whatever you just built. Let's let's switch gears a little bit and make this relatable to a weight loss goal. Talk about that a little bit. Like I said, new year, new you. It's a cliche term, and a lot of people will go out hard, which is great. So the positives I take about new year, new you, right, is that people change that mindset, and that's one of the hardest things to do when you're setting a goal for a lot of people is to actually change that mindset to say that I want to do this. I want to make that change. I don't want to live in the what if anymore, or I am going to do it. Remember, we talk about it all the time. It's that first step that you have to make. Once you choose to make that first step, all the other steps will fall into place if you're consistent and you have a set plan to reach that goal. So, say you have a weight loss goal and you have no plan. You're just going to go to the gym. It's January. I'm going to hit the gym every single day. I'm going to go for an hour and a half a day, and I'm going to eat nothing but salads every single day, all week long. If you just went from sitting on your couch every day, I'm not saying that where you're doing, or you were very inactive, and you went from basically, no plan on eating, just kind of eating whatever you like, whatever you feel, to going all in, to going to the gym for an hour and a half a day and restricting your eating to things that you probably don't even eat, that is not going to be sustainable. That fire, that excitement is only going to last so long. Like I said, at one point, because you're probably not fueling correctly, your body is going to start to break down. You're probably not recovering correctly. Your body's going to break down, or you're going to get injured. All of that is going to end up being catastrophic in so many ways. Not only the fact that you'll probably quit, you'll probably get burnt out and possibly be injured, but it's going to set you back. And a lot of times, those setbacks can be more detrimental than prior to setting that goal. You might go completely backwards and further behind from where you started, meaning that you might gain more weight, possibly guilt or depression, and you just might feel worse about yourself prior than you did before setting that goal. So what's the correct way to do something like that? When you're looking at a big goal, say you want to lose 30 pounds. Let's think realistically how long you want to take to lose that 30 pounds. You might come out the bat overexcited and say, I want to lose 30 pounds in a month. Not feasible. So let's say I want to lose 2 pounds a week. I want to lose between 7 and 10 pounds in a month. How do you break that down even further, right? You need to have a plan. You need to have a slow building plan to get towards those goals. So week 1, maybe I'm going to walk 30 minutes a day. I am going to do some work and figure out what my actual calorie intake is. Take a look what I'm eating and start to make small changes. Change 1 meal a day. I never eat breakfast. I don't think I need to eat breakfast. Well, let's start eating breakfast. Eat something healthy. Maybe that will keep you a little more full throughout the day and you won't be as hungry. Maybe you're a snacker in the afternoon. Maybe if you eat a good breakfast, you won't want those snacks in the afternoon because you're going to eat a good breakfast. Then you're going to work on eating a good lunch, and it kind of, snowballs from there. So you build slowly towards changing your eating habits. You build slowly towards exercise. That 30 minutes a day of walking week 1 turns into I'm going to walk 30 minutes a day, but I'm also going to do some body weight exercises for 5 or 10 minutes a day. And you continuously build slowly. This is what I mean about building sustainable goals that will get you to your end result in a healthy way, not only changing yourself, but changing your mind and your lifestyle. A lot of people are doing what they think they should be doing and still struggling. And this is where education and support comes in. No one can figure everything out on their own when it comes to setting a goal. There's so many different goals that people want to set. There's so many different things people want to do. I talk about my endurance goals, but we also have career goals. People have weight loss goals. You might have some other type of goal. It's just simply reaching out to the right support, whether it's a mentor or a coworker, or you might find a group of people that are like-minded that have those similar goals. Reach out to those people. They're definitely going to be able to help you out. It's amazing what happens when you start to surround yourself with people that have like-minded goals or a like-minded mindset. This changes your mindset dramatically, and it helps you see that these goals are attainable, because you may meet someone that was in the same place that you were, and they got to where you're looking to get, and they can and they're relatable to you. So you start to see people. You're not the only one out there. You're not crazy thinking about making these changes. The changes you want to make are not impossible. You just have to find that support system to kind of guide you, to help you plan your way. That might be a coach. There's plenty of coaches out there that you can reach out to. And I would say when it comes to coaches, it's not a one size fits all. You're not going to necessarily relate to the first coach that you meet. You have to feel comfortable with this person. You have to feel like you can be open with this person. You have to feel vulnerable with this person, and also let them hold you accountable. So the first coach you meet, your personalities might not mix. Their style of coaching might not mix with you, but that's okay. It's an exploration. So eventually you're going to find that person or that coach that can kind of keep you in line and help you keep those small sustainable goals to work towards the larger goal. So this is why I mean, education is so important. Do your own research, ask around, look for different support groups that can help you with that. It's a huge part of being successful. We say this all the time. There's a saying that we say in the endurance world, or you may have heard it in other terms as well, but you know, iron sharpens iron, right? So for me, the meaning of that is that you want to surround yourself with people that are going to keep you moving toward your goals, keep you improving in life, and just with a positive feel, right? Like when we train for endurance events, we tend to find training partners. I have a training partner, my buddy Colby. We know how to push each other, and we know what each other's goals are. So we support those goals, but we'll also hold each other accountable to make sure we're working towards those goals and not working backwards. If Colby has a goal that he's trying to reach, whether it's on the bike or in the pool, and he's really working hard toward that, I'm going to work just as hard as him to help him feel comfortable that he's working hard towards that goal, and vice versa. That's what you want to find. You want to find that camaraderie and that support system. With that being said, I want to dig into weight loss a little bit more, especially with it being the new year. Weight loss is a huge, huge focus always. And I feel like the past few years, with the growing education of health and longevity and weight loss, there's a lot of ways you can, get some help or assistance with weight loss. Like I said, nothing that we are going to discuss today is magic by any means, because you have to have the foundation, you have to change your lifestyle, and you have to put the work in. But there's definitely options out there to assist you with your weight loss goals. So today we're going to talk about weight loss peptides. There's a few different options out there, and like I said, use this as a tool, use it as support for appetite regulation, help with insulin sensitivity, and metabolic health in general. These all can help along with that. I truly feel like the weight loss peptides have gotten some good and bad publicity out there. I think they have a fit for everyone as long as they're being used correctly. What do I mean by being used correctly? Used correctly for what your goal is, and also having the mindset that if you choose to use a weight loss peptide, you're also choosing to make a better, healthy lifestyle for yourself. So you're going to make changes that's going to help aid this weight loss peptide. So it's all going to work together to make you a healthier person. So if you're not familiar with weight loss peptides, there's a few different options out there, and we can kind of talk about the popular ones, and then we can talk about what the future looks like for weight loss peptides. So when it comes to weight loss peptides, the first one that most people were familiar with is semaglutide. Semaglutide, also known as Ozempic. So semaglutide is a GLP-1. So the GLP-1 receptor really focuses on your appetite suppression and your insulin sensitivity and slowing down your gastric digestion. So it's going to make you feel full for longer. This is what aids in the weight loss. But in terms of the insulin sensitivity and the other benefits is for people that suffer from diabetes, this weight loss peptide is really helpful for those people, but it can also be helpful for people that are struggling with obesity and struggling with weight loss because of the appetite suppression and the slowing of the gastric digestion. So that was the first one. And then we have tirzepatide, which is Zepbound. That's a dual GLP agonist. So that's a GLP-1 plus a GIP receptor. So this is going to add a whole nother facet to the weight loss combination of a peptide with adding the other additional receptor to give you some more benefits. This one had been known to maybe show a little bit less side effects for some people and been shown to be very effective. Let me back up a little bit because there are some side effects with these peptides because of the functions that they do in terms of the appetite suppression and the slowing of the gastric digestion, nausea, fatigue. These can all be very, real side effects that people tend to suffer from these. And there are some ways to kind of mitigate those, but it's a pretty common side effect with those. And it seems to be that side effect is lessened with the tirzepatide. Now, new and exciting, which is one that I'm really in love with, is retatrutide. If you haven't heard about that, this is a GLP-3. This is not on the market yet. This actually just finished up its last rounds of testing with Eli Lilly and most likely will be FDA approved and on the market by either the end of this year or early next year. So what's exciting about this is this has a third agonist receptor, which is a glucagon. So the glucagon receptor is going to help with burning fat for energy expenditure, right? So this really, you basically, it's going to help burn fat while you're resting, as well as increase fat burning while you're exercising. Also, with the burning fat for energy expenditure, you're not going to feel some of the fatigue that you could possibly feel with the other weight loss peptides. Where do these all fit? Who can they help? And how can they help different types of people? We're noticing that the tirzepatide seems to be helping almost everyone that has a substantial weight loss goal. When I say substantial, I would say, 30 pounds or more is pretty substantial for a weight loss goal. And the tirzepatide has been showing great results to help people with those. Like I said, it's not magic. You also have to be committed to reducing your saturated fat intake, reducing eating fried foods. One of the other positives is that a lot of people seem to be reducing a lot of cravings in terms of drinking alcohol or smoking, things along those lines. So it's another great positive because those are things you're going to want to change anyway. And then the retatrutide, because of the way that it's burning fat through energy expenditure, we are noticing that a lot of bodybuilders, people into aesthetics are actually taking this at smaller doses to get really lean. You're even seeing this dive into the bodybuilding world. It's helping bodybuilders actually prep for their events without having to completely deplete or dehydrate themselves. So like I said, the retatrutide, I would say, is a little more flexible in terms of who it can help. I'm not suggesting anyone that wants to lose 5 or 10 pounds needs to go out and jump on retatrutide. What I'm saying is that if someone is very into aesthetics and sees this as something that could help them lean out a little bit and they're enjoying the effects of it, go for it. We're seeing a lot of people in that area kind of microdose on it. When I say microdose, they're taking smaller doses of it multiple times a week versus the protocol that's been suggested for these, which is a once a week injection. So like I said, with the weight loss peptides, they really can help everyone. I'm a huge fan in terms of using them as support. I'm not a huge fan in terms of people using them for a clutch. Because from my point of view, when it comes to peptides in general, I'm a huge proponent of peptides. I think they do amazing things. They actually help and heal us. But it's supposed to be a whole picture. It's supposed to be a part of our entire health journey. So, I always say to someone, if you're going to make the investment into a weight loss peptide or any type of peptides, you should be committed to the whole longevity and health benefits that go along with it. You should be someone that is really looking to make a change in your life and you really want to be healthier. For me, I always say I don't want to live forever, but I want to be as healthy as I can for as long as I can. So if I can feel great into my 70s and 80s and I can utilize my eating, my recovery, my sleep, and the aid of peptides to help that, I think that's pretty amazing. I think it's pretty amazing. But on the other hand, is that a lot of times people, when they first hear about peptides, they might start using them and they hadn't thought about making those changes. But once they start to feel better with the peptides, then that light kind of goes off and they say, man, I feel really good. What else can I do to improve my lifestyle? And that's pretty amazing. Sometimes it just takes that one little, kickstart, I guess. And that's how I look at the weight loss peptides too, as a kickstart, to kind of help your weight loss journey if you're stuck in that mental mode where you can't get going. Because like we mentioned early in the podcast, it's really taking that first step. And there's different ways to be able to get motivated for that first step. And this could definitely be one of them. There's been a lot of news in terms of, the weight loss peptides and their availability coming in the new year. I've been reading some different articles, listening to some different podcasts. So basically what's happening is that when it comes to peptides, they really do help and cure things. And I don't want to go down a rabbit hole or say anything negative, but, Big Pharma has kind of kept these out for quite some time now. For many reasons we can discuss. I really don't want to be negative here, so we're not going to discuss that today. But ever since the wave of the weight loss peptides and the profit that is being made off of these, Big Pharma and the FDA, the Big Pharma mainly is, that light went off for them in terms of profitability and how much money they can generate off of these peptides. So what's happening is that they are finding ways to be able to patent these peptides, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because if you're not familiar with what a peptide is, it's just a branch of amino acids, right? It's a chain of amino acids. These peptides naturally occur within your body. So how can you patent something like that? They're finding ways to do it. And what's happening is that they're going to fight, once they get these FDA approved, they're going to fight any other type of pharmacy that doesn't work through telehealth or the medical system to be able to produce or offer these to customers. That's going to make them more difficult to get. That's going to make them more expensive. So retatrutide will be the next one. We'll see that, like I said, the end of this year, sometime early next year. And then there's a lot of other peptides that have been on the non-FDA approved list for quite some time, like BPC 157, TB 500, and a few others. You're going to slowly start to see these start to be approved by the FDA again. And what's going to happen is that through the medical system in Big Pharma, the only way you're going to be able to obtain these peptides is through either your medical provider, your doctor, or some type of telehealth. And you're going to pay a premium for these items, which I think is unfortunate. I mean, unfortunate that in the fact that these peptides can be very helpful for a lot of people. And right now there are ways to get them in an affordable way, in a safe way as well. Like anything else that's out there in the market, you have to be very careful where you source, peptides from. You have to make sure you verify your source. You have to make sure that their certificates of purity are accurate. But if you do your due diligence, you can find very good sources at an affordable price to be able to utilize these peptides. And this is going to become a little more difficult in the coming years, which I guess the positive I take out of it is that we're finally, when I say we, I say, America, the United States, we're finally seeing that these peptides actually do help people. I'm really happy about the whole push for health and longevity in the country. And this is a big change for Big Pharma. This is a big change for the country. And I'm excited about that. The negative for me is just the accessibility and the affordability that I foresee happening. Those challenges I foresee happening with this, with these particular peptides. We talked about them in the past. The recovery peptides, the weight loss peptides. There's just so many different options out there for so many different people, depending on what your challenges may be. But getting a little bit off topic, I want to get back on topic, talking about New Year's big goals and sustainable change, right? Having that New Year mindset. I love the New Year mindset. But with that New Year mindset, make sure you are working towards realistic goals that have sustainable outcomes, right? My entry to Leadville 100 trail race is one of the most difficult 100-mile trail races in the country. Like I said, the most iconic. It is at the end of August. I'm giving myself about 8 months to train for this race. If I do this correctly, if I break it down in small goals, I'll be successful. I know I'll be successful anyway. I mentioned this in the past. When I set a big goal, right, you can't really look at the finish line of that goal right away. We're so far away from it right now. But what I can do is I can picture myself at that finish line, right? That's just like almost like a dream that you're working towards. And I'm going to work through my mini goals month by month, reaching those milestones every month to get to that finish line. Because for me, the goal, you've reached your goal when you get to the start line. For me, you've reached your goal when you got to the start line. Let me explain why. Because I've done all the work properly. And if I get to that start line healthy, the reward and the prize is being able to compete in that race. And I know if I'm prepared correctly, I'm healthy, I'm feeling good, I did everything well in my training, I know I'm going to complete that race. Mentally, I know I'm going to complete that race, barring no, major accidents or no major medical issues. But going off of the work I put in, the goals I set, how I got to that start line is telling me now it's time to enjoy the reward and do the race. The race and the finish is the reward, right? That's how you have to look at it. So say you set a goal. I have another goal that I set a few months ago. I want to read at least one book a month. So that's the minimum goal. Hopefully I'll read more than one book a month and I'll have more education I can share with you guys. But I set a smaller goal, hoping I'll surpass that goal and go beyond that and further educate myself by reading more books than just one a month. Weight loss goals. Set that marker. If it's 30 pounds, be realistic with yourself. It might take you 6 months to lose 30 pounds, but you know what? That's okay, because I can guarantee you the person you are on day one and then the person you are when you reach that 6 months are going to be completely different persons, because that 6 months period, a lot of people, you can completely change your lifestyle and who you are within that 6 month period. Can you lose 30 pounds within a month or 2 months? Most likely not. And most likely, if you do, it's in a very unhealthy way. And I can guarantee you, you did not change much of who you are as a person when you reach that goal. So a lot of times what happens, if you set a goal like that, that's, maybe you got close to attaining it, but you didn't give yourself enough time to make those new habits and to make those changes. So this is what happens. A lot of times when you set that short goal, and by some crazy means you meet that goal, you're not able to maintain that goal. You're not able to be consistent, right? So what does a goal require? Consistency, patience, recovery, strength, and stress management. What are the common barriers that you're going to deal with? You're going to deal with, you know, events. You're going to deal with busy work schedules. You're going to deal with life in general. No matter what your goal is, whether it's a weight loss goal, whether it's an endurance goal, these are all uh, barriers or roadblocks that you're going to have to persevere through. You're going to have to plan. That's why we talk about planning. When you're training for an endurance event, you have a training plan. And within that plan, you can make moves or changes according to your lifestyle. Like for me, I travel a lot for work. So every week that I travel, I have to alter my training plan a little bit to fit within my work schedule for my travel, whatever it may be. I might have to move a couple workouts around. I might have to change the volume a little bit. But as long as you're planning that, it's okay. It's when you go into it blind, and that's when everything starts to fall apart. So kind of think about those barriers and those roadblocks, and plan ahead. And then make sure you're integrating sleep and nutrition and stress management when you're working towards any type of goal. We talked about it all the time. Sleep is so important for anyone and everyone in terms of your body just recovering and your functions of your body being able to function properly. Your body is working very hard when you're sleeping. Your body is recovering, it's resetting, it's doing all the things it needs to do to assure when you wake up, your body is ready to go. And then when you wake up, right? When you wake up, your stress levels are at the highest, because that's when your cortisol is at the highest. That's what cortisol does. We spoke about this in the past. It is there high in the morning to wake your body up, to get you up and to get you alert. It's your job to let those cortisol levels come back down. So if you jump out of bed and you're on your phone right away, checking emails, checking social media, you're doing all these things, you're not giving your body a chance to reset for the day. You have to take a few minutes, whether it's, a glass of water, you kind of sit in silence, you make a cup of coffee, maybe you do some light stretches or exercises. Try to give yourself, if you can't give yourself 30 minutes, start with 5 minutes. Leave your phone away from you for 5 minutes every morning. Then go to 10 minutes. I can guarantee you, the longer you go and the longer you can go in silence and just let your body calm down and bring those cortisol levels down, the better day that you're going to have. You're not going to feel that anxiety or as much of it. You're not going to feel that afternoon crash. And this is going to align with your goals, because you're going to be able to focus on whatever you need to for that day. Right? So sleep. We talked about nutrition. We talked about stress management and movement. You need to be moving throughout the day. We've talked about this in the past as well. No matter what the goal is, whether it's a career goal, any type of goal, you need focus, right? You need to be able to have focus, and you need to have sustained energy throughout the day. We as humans, we're not made to sit for 6-8 hours at a time without any movement. This is why it's very important to try to incorporate some type of exercise break within your day. We all have parts throughout our day where we have, 5 or 10 minutes, and you might take that 5 or 10 minutes to, once again, scroll on your phone or walk to go get a coffee or do something non-productive, take a walk. If you have an office you can't leave, do some body weight exercises, run in place, do anything to get some type of movement throughout the day. It's been a known fact that, if you're the type of person that, jumps on the elliptical for 30 minutes every day in the morning and you feel great and you feel like you're getting a good workout in, but then you don't move again until you get up from your desk at the end of the day, you're negating that 30 minutes of exercise. That just became completely negated. Even if you work out for an hour every morning, but then you do not move the rest of the day, you are negating that. And this is where the aches and pains, the muscle tightness, you see a lot of people that have issues with their lower back and tight hamstrings. If you're not moving and staying fluid throughout the day, this is kind of what happens, because we're not designed for that. So think about that. And also what I like to do is, when you think about movement and you think about intentionally taking time for, an exercise break, whether it's a walk, whatever that may be, that's also a great time to kind of bring that cortisol level back down, pause, reflect. Believe me, there's no email that's going to set a fire off in 5-10 minutes. If you have your day planned, you're not going to miss a meeting. Those phone calls can wait, obviously unless it's emergency, but day-to-day stuff can wait for 5 or 10 minutes. Take the time to pause and reflect and kind of bring yourself back to center, and I promise you, your days will become much more effective. You'll be able to stay focused towards your goals, towards your career, towards your family, towards all of that stuff. So my closing message for today is, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Big goals don't require perfection. They require intention. Whether you're setting a goal around endurance, weight loss, health, or simply showing up better day-to-day life, the process is the same. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just need a plan that respects your body, your schedule, and the season of life that you're in. I shared my Leadville 100 goal with you today, not because it's extreme, but because it's honest. It's a reminder that meaningful goals take time, patience, and willingness to build the foundation first. The same applies to weight loss. If you struggled in the past, it doesn't mean you failed. It means you may have not had the right support, education, or tools, and that's okay. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, and there's no shortcut that replaces sleep, movement, fueling, and managing stress. But there are ways to support your body better. There are tools that can help create consistency. There's a path forward that doesn't involve extremes or burnouts. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming someone more aligned with who you already are and you actually want to be. And if you're ready to take that next step, you don't have to do it alone. So this is what I ask of everyone today. If this episode resonates with you, I invite you to reach out. Whether you're looking for accountability, guidance with goal setting, endurance coaching, or education around weight loss and recovery tools, including peptides, I'm here to help. You can connect with me through my social platforms or message me directly. Let's build a plan that works for your life, not against it. I want to thank you all for joining the Chef Triathlete Podcast, and stay tuned for more exciting news. Next episode teaser, we will have our first guest, which will be very exciting. You're going to be meeting a gentleman that I met about a year ago. I'm not going to give you too much, but I promise you will not want to miss that episode. So stay tuned.